Hey, I'm Maddie Campbell, and welcome to this episode of The Sunshine Hour, a podcast dedicated to shining light on emergent musicians and artists. In this episode, I talked to Nashville-based singer-songwriter Kaitlin Cantrell about breaking into the industry, escaping imposter syndrome in a city filled with somebodies, and how Taylor Swift raised an entire generation of songwriters. The White Star singer reviews the song on her debut album, At What Point Is Love Enough?, collaborating on the TikTok sensation Birthday Card, and discovering her own creative process. Remember to subscribe for more of the Sunshine Hour, and let's get into the episode. Hi, I'm Maddie. It's so nice to actually see you.
Oh my God, so nice to meet you. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for asking me to do this. This is so
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So first off, you have the greatest Instagram feed, ever. I have been deeply stalking you, deeply. So if your name pops up on Google, I have found it and I have read through it.
So
I have because I was I didn't know what kind of questions I need to ask. So, yeah. But I am obsessed with your Instagram feed. Your cat's adorable, everything.
Thank you. Yes. I appreciate it. It's I love it. I love to take pictures and organize it and do all of that. I think it's really fun, and I feel like that's a point that people have steered away from, but I don't know, I still like it. I think it's a fun thing to do.
It pays off in tenfold. I love it. Whenever I see the little green icon, I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go.
I love it.
All right. So let's talk about you. How did you get here? I know you're from California.
Yeah.
So, what drew you to Nashville? Because, LA is where to go. So why did you choose Nashville?
Yeah, that's a great question. It was a mix of things. Nashville's music city. So as a musician, it was just the point of where I wanted to go. And I made the decision to not go to school, of making my own, I guess. Just deciding to come out here and learn as much as I can from as many people as I can and meeting as many people as I can has been my biggest goal. And I first came out here in 2020, briefly to record one song. And then I took another trip out a couple months later after that. And since that trip, I really fell in love with wanting to live here and just being surrounded by music. Comparative to LA, there's music everywhere you go, and it's nothing that I've ever seen before. And I think it's so unique and special in Nashville that there's quite literally everyone's doing it, and in a really cool way. No one's special for doing music, and everyone is your competition. And I think that's a really cool thing if you can see it as not even necessarily motivation, but it's just as a point that there's no pressure in it. Everyone's doing the same thing, so you just get to learn from people, and there's no you're not special for doing music, and you just get to observe and really take it in. Yeah, so it was just it seemed like an obvious choice to me. And then my cheesy answer is that Taylor Swift moved here to pursue music, so I had to do it too. So
yes, yeah. I'm wearing my Taylor Swift key right now. Always.
Yeah. Honestly, I always my soppy story of it is I when I was 8, read her little All About Me book or whatever that it was. Yeah. And then it was she moved to Nashville, and then I'm always I want to move to Nashville. I want to do that.
Yes. No. Yeah. I think the most amazing thing about Nashville is if you walk down Broadway, every restaurant has a completely different sound pouring out of it. Yeah. And you never fail to just hear the most amazing people.
Yeah, everyone's doing it. Everyone is just learning from each other, and it's really it's amazing opportunity. And yeah, it's everywhere. It's the most inspirational, but at the same time, you can stop for a second and it'll continue going, and then you can jump back in and it's ready for you. It's not it's not up to you to keep it going in any means. So I really like it. I love it. It's been amazing.
Yeah, Nashville just has the best energy. So
totally. I don't yeah, 100%. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yes. So you moved to Nashville, you get settled, and you find the producer out there. How what was that journey like?
Yeah. So a lot of my, and not even a lot of, honestly, all of my connections that I've made have been online, and even I met my roommate on Facebook Marketplace. And like that's been the biggest thing of like connecting with people. And so with my producer, he put out like a random little ad for like, if you want me to record your song, then come, like I'll come do it. And I've been wanting to move to Nashville, and that was in 20, or not move, but I just wanted to like visit. I wanted to do it, and that was in 2020, right when I had first started doing music. And I saw the thing, so I DM'd him, and then it just kind of from there. And then like I think it was like a month or so later, I made the trip out and then recorded with him, and then I've stuck with him since then.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely think that is like the scariest commitment of like
Yeah.
pursuing music is like in my heart the most noble jump.
Yeah, it was definitely, I mean, it was a point for me. Like, I mean, like COVID was at its height, and it was like I mean, I had, when I first moved out here, I like when I first like made contact with him, I mean, I was still 17, so I couldn't like even fly on my own, or I don't know if you can at 16, but there was a where I couldn't like travel out on my own. And it was literally like a couple days after I turned 18, and then I booked my flight, and then I went, and then decided to come out here and do that. And it was just kind of it was an opportunity, and I took it, and it was really fun and really random. And everyone's like, you're crazy. That's like gonna, you're like getting it kidnapped. And I was like, no, I think it's fine. But it was amazing. It was great.
Yeah. So I see that on your album, which has the most iconic title, At What Point Is Love Enough? I'm obsessed with that. And we'll talk more about that later. But I think you collaborate with James Balfour a lot. How did you two meet?
Same thing through Instagram, and we actually grew up in our same hometown. And I had been listening to his music for like a couple of years, and I didn't know that he was in my hometown. And then it was like a mutual friend of a friend had like posted something, and then I was like, oh, that's the guy that I love his music. And then I saw that they were in our hometown, and I had just started my project for my album and wanted to do a collaborative write, and wanted to do like the duet type song that we did. And so I reached out to him, and then he was down, and we did it. It was really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to talk all about At What Point Is Love Enough. There's 7 songs. I mean, I'm looking at it right now. White Stars has almost like 75,000 streams on Spotify. Yeah. Like, that's amazing. So you have 7 songs here, and I want to break down each one. We open up with Dear Emerson and Low. Like, how do we get here?
So that first track, so basically the whole album is a concept album. Each track is a different set of characters that I wrote answering the question. And the first 2 were based off of 2 of my friends. And so those are actually like code names for them. They were like, I took their story from when they first like started in their relationship. Yeah, so I wrote it based off of them, and that was their answers like that they gave me. And in each song for the characters, they're like, some are like written based off of people that I know, and then some are just like fictional characters that I made up. For that one was 2 of them coming together and answering the question of like the first moment, like falling for someone. And for them, this was like a homosexual relationship. So it was like, it was a point of like, is this worth it? Is this enough for us to come out and to do this and to actually commit to being in a relationship openly? And then it was really special because it was one of my best friends, and it was really like close to my heart to be able to like tell her story. And then was like a turning point for her in her coming out story. So it was really amazing. And like, I really, that one like means a lot. So that's why I chose it as the first opener. And she always joked, like whenever I first started writing songs, she was like, when are you writing a song about me? And so then I was like, well, do you want to answer some questions? And then I formed it together based off of both of their answers. And then the voice memo in the end is one of them, is Emerson. And those were like little voice memos that I stole, and then like got her permission for later. But I stole them, and then was like, don't hate me, but I put this in a song. And then I was like, can I post it? And she said, yeah. So it was great. But yeah, that one's so special to me. It's I love it.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Happy Pride.
Yeah.
That's what we always say. Now, I think, especially with coming out stories, those are very like temperamental things to deal with. And especially with people you know.
Yeah, it was a very delicate situation that I was honored to be able to play a part in, and ultimately had nothing to do with me, which I think was a really special point. I took this story that I wrote, and it had nothing to do with me at all, and it wasn't about me, and so all the attention got to go to them, because it was their story, and it was just me telling it, and that was really special for me. I loved it.
Absolutely. I think especially writing songs about people you know, and then you have to share it with them because you're like, you should probably know this is about you. Oh,
I guess. Yeah.
oh yeah. All
Yeah.
right. White Stars. I'm ready for it. I
Yeah.
literally was listening to the song. It's amazing.
Thank you. That one I love. I think that was a really cool point to be able to write it in the way that I did. James and I actually wrote it the first day that we met. We like, because I had like messaged him on Instagram, and then because we were living in the same hometown and didn't know, it was like, well, I guess like I'm free, and we just met up at our park, and then uh, wrote the song, and then it was like we were in it, we were going, and then it ended up being like a full 7-hour day, and then went back to his parents' house and finished writing the rest of the song. And it was like it was a really cool thing, because it was also like, I just met you. I don't know if this is weird, but it was amazing, and we just sat down and just kind of like bounced ideas off of each other. But that one mainly tells a story of two of the characters also coming together, and one of the characters being from Just a Little Bit of Time. But one of the characters in both of those, in their conversation back and forth, and the way that we wrote it and the way that we constructed it, was the idea of stars being this like metaphor. Obviously, it feels like a a typical metaphor, but I mean, we decided to go with it. And so it was like the idea of a breakup conversation where both people are saying the same thing at the same time, but for completely different reasons, and neither of them know that they're saying the same thing, but for different reasons. And so, like, going through the lyrics and deconstructing it, both of those characters are they're just talking back and forth, and one of them is referring to, like, our names will still be written in white stars as the city that they used to be in, the city lights being their stars and who they are, and their names going up in lights as they're doing things together, and saying that, you know, they have the strength to leave the relationship because that'll still be set in stone. And then the other person, in the other perspective, looking up at them, like in a plane situation or whatever that it is, of like looking up at them as they're leaving and seeing they're saying the exact same thing. Our names will still be written in white stars, but they're referring to actual stars, and they're like seeing where they're at and where they're going. So the idea of like watching someone leave and watching someone achieve their dreams and what they're doing, and being happy for them, and wanting that, like, under like the mutual agreement of where you're at, but also not knowing that you're agreeing on something at the same time. And that one was really, really fun to write, and was my first collaborative project that I ever did. So that was, and like I had just freshly started music too. So it was a really like special and cool point for me to be able to write that perspective. Yeah. And it was just it was really cool. For sure. Yeah.
Right person, wrong time. That
absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then Just a Little Bit of Time is gorgeous.
Thank you.
I think that one, it might be my favorite, if I'm being honest.
Thank you. I think that one's my favorite too. So I'm glad that it's yours. Just a Little Bit of Time is my one I hold very close to my heart. And it was a perspective that I've been wanting to write for a while, and then never really had like I had the words in my head, but it wasn't I didn't know how I wanted to say it. Before I was getting ready to take my trip to go record the album out in Nashville, it was like 3 days before, and I still didn't have one of the tracks written, which was Just a Little Time. And I was like, I really need to get this done. But I was procrastinating, and I was actually watching The Good Place one night at like 2 a.m. Love The Good Place. And
so good.
Yeah, it was the ending. I think it's the last episode. I don't know. So if you're watching and you don't want to know what happens, then
spoilers here.
Spoilers here. Sorry.
Yeah,
exactly. It's a point where Eleanor and Chidi are talking, and Eleanor's begging and asking for Chidi to wait for her. Is saying like that she just needs a little bit of time. I forget what the last line is of what it is, and I probably should have that ready and written down. I really should know that, but it's what like sparked my inspiration for it, where I was like, yes, that's exactly how I've been feeling, and like this character just put it into words for me, and then I was able to take those words and like deconstruct them and put them into what I've been trying to say. And it was this moment where she was like, it was the line where she's like, I need you to just like hold my hand and tell me that it's going to be fine, and just like walk with me through it. And I need you to wait, because I do want to be ready for you. And it was a really like gut wrenching moment. And I immediately was like, put my phone down, and then started, I was like maniac at like 2 a.m. and was writing it. The chords just started and then flowed right out. And it was amazing. But yeah, that was like my own personal story of starting to fall for someone and knowing that it's probably not going to end well because you're not ready. And the fear of, if you're never going to be ready, will that love still exist? And is it okay to ask for someone to wait for you? And yeah, that one's just a very, very deep point in me, and it was a special moment because I got to actually put into words what I've been trying to like say for what felt like a long time, release an emotion that I had been trying to like articulate, for sure.
I think there's definitely something really like painfully powerful about asking for something from someone that
Yeah.
you know they're not willing to give you, but
Yeah.
you have to ask anyway because you love them so much.
Sure. And in the idea of like, I don't need much from you. Like I don't need you to even really love me. Like I just need you.
Just give
I
me
need
that.
I need you the time, and I need you to be able to just give me this one thing, and knowing that the answer is no.
That just makes it even more sad, and I have to go listen to it again after this. So I'm ready for that. I'm
Yes.
ready for that. Home. I
Yeah.
also want to point out all of the production in your songs is amazing.
Yeah, David's incredible, and it was really fun because it was just the team of us doing it, and we recorded the entire thing in 4 days because we didn't have any time because I was visiting from California. It was expensive, so we were just like, well, this is the most that I can afford out of working my like hometown coffee shop job for now, and this is what I can do. So just did it and got like free flight points and made our way out. But yeah, we recorded it in 4 days, and David did an incredible job in doing that for sure. He was really, really amazing, and honestly, that was it's like the OG place that we always joke about. It was like that was out of his like apartment, like his college apartment. But he built an entire system and did it like a beautiful job of it for sure.
No, it's definitely the people that make their own studios that like they know what they're doing.
Yes.
Every knob they can point. You can put, what does this do? Oh, it's that. Those are the best people that you want producing your music.
Yeah.
That's okay. I love him for that. That's
love it.
Love it. Yes, Home. I'm this whole album is amazing. I'm obsessed with all of them. I'm gonna state it now. Every time I say a song, I'm gonna be like, but again, they're all amazing. So go ahead.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate that. And even like to say that work was like work of mine that was from so long ago. Or not even, but feels long ago for me. Where it's like I'm glad it's still sticking at least. I mean, especially because like it's hard when I get, and I feel like a lot of musicians relate to where like I get so excited about a new project I'm working on, and then it's always a classic where it's like, well, just wait till the next one. Like you don't know what the new stuff is, but you have to like really be able to enjoy what you already have out. But yeah, for Home, that one was written again from a very like specific place. It started off. I mean, first line's very clear. Like I started off, I was at a party that I didn't want to be at. It was on Halloween. My friend had like she was passed out, and then her dad kept trying to text her and call her, and I texted back her dad and was like, she's good. And I didn't want to be there. I wanted to go home, but I had no way home, so I was just kind of like wandering around and seeing how quickly I would be able to get out of there. And then after that, I was like, and it was my hometown, and I at that point I had just been to Nashville, so I was like, classic, like I want to get out of here. I'm sick of it. I need to leave. So I was like, I hate this town, but also knowing that I really did like deep down love it. And so I mean, I grew up in Loomis, California, little tiny hometown. Love Loomis. And then I like moved, which is this like greater Sacramento area. And so then I moved around like Sacramento area all growing up, but like I predominantly grew up in Loomis. I spent time away from Loomis for a little while, and then I ended up moving back there to my childhood house in like my later teen years. And it was more like I didn't know when or if I would ever be back in that position, and it was really special for me. And it was after the party, I was driving home, and then I was looking at all the things that I used to do, and I was like, oh, there's a soccer field I used to play on, and then there was like that pizza factory where I went on that stupid date, and that like shouldn't have gone on, and that weird boy, and like just like driving down and seeing old things, and then all of it together. I was like, well, I may hate this town, I may hate this party, but like I know that this is home for me, and this is something that is special, and it will always be special, even if it is Loomis, which everyone who's from Loomis will, if they hear that, then they're definitely probably snapping because it's true. Yeah, that one was special as well. They're all very special. I'm gonna keep saying that.
It's a piece of you. It is a piece of you.
It really is, and it really is so cool because I get to. I mean, I have the opportunity to be able to take this piece of me and tell this story, and then it's not mine anymore, and I get to share with the world. Which I'm pretty sure I'm stealing that from Taylor Swift, but it's true because she said it. So
He's every young songwriter's inspiration, and you just have to accept.
Oh, absolutely. I have to say, every time that people are like, "Oh, who are your inspirations?" I'm like, "Well, let's just get out of the way." Taylor Swift already is number one. So below that, let's move on. We already know that. Yeah.
She is raised this generation of young female songwriters. We just got to get it out of the way.
She has raised us all. Absolutely.
Oh, 100%. No, yeah. Because like I'm in the middle of writing my first album, I'm like, Taylor Swift did this, so I do this. I have all of the lover out, like all the lover diaries. I was like breaking it down. Like that's it.
Absolutely. I love it. Yeah. I mean, it's a key part.
No, I definitely do think that when you're in your hometown, because like, I'm from a tiny beach town on the coast of Florida.
Sure, yeah.
Everyone hates it because it's just old people.
Yeah.
When you're in your hometown, you hate it. You want to be anywhere else but there. But then when you're away from it, like I just moved away for college, you're like, oh, nostalgia. Take your friends to visit it. And they're like, this is great. I'm like, no, you didn't live here. You didn't live here. You don't know.
You don't know what we had to scrap together for entertainment.
I'm like, I worked at a nursing home.
You don't get it. You really don't get it. Yeah.
Like, this is the ice cream shop where I got dumped. Like, you don't get it.
But Pizza Factory right there. Yeah. I'm like, you didn't live that.
Absolutely. So I understand that feeling well.
Yeah.
Yes. Learn to Dance Again. I think me and my boyfriend were talking about Avocado Toast Continued, maybe my song title, but Learn to Dance Again, close second.
Awesome. I love it. That's amazing. That one was, I mean, looking back on it, it's even just like funny now, but I mean, I wrote that one, I think I want to say that it was the first. I think that it was the first one that I wrote. And I wrote that one else. That's also another character from just a little bit of time of realizing that you might be falling for someone, and then not knowing if after the last relationship, if you're going to be able to make it through and do that. And it was after a stupid 17-year-old break off situationship over Snapchat, and it sparked it. And ever since then, I mean, that one I just wrote, and it's so funny. So I look back on it, I'm like, that was so dumb. That was so stupid. But I still love it because I got to create something really cool out of it. Yeah, that one, I came up with that just because, I mean, I'm trying to like remember the first lines of it. There's a point it brings up like being left speechless, because it was with this person was my first slow dance, and it was to Speechless by Dan and Shay. And I was wearing white dress. It was a whole thing. So then it was the thing where it was like the idea of, I don't know if I'm gonna be able, like every time I heard that song, I was like, turn it off. No, I can't deal with it. And then now, of course, I love it. But it was, I was like, if I'm gonna be able to hear that song again one day, and I'm gonna be able to dance to it again one day, and I'm going to be able to, those songs come back to you. You're not gonna lose those pieces of music for you or with you forever. As you start to fall for this person, and then you ask this person who you're now also falling for, who's the other character in just a little bit of time, to take that chance and to dance with you. Yeah, and that one was really great because we had it just tracked down as guitar, and then we decided to add keys to it. David had added like a cool little feature that makes it kind of the, like, I call it like the bloop sound, because it sounds very dancey, and it completely added to the like the delivering of the song, and felt really, really great for that. But I do like that title as well. I think that one was really fun to write also, for sure.
Yeah. All right. 3 Little Girls. I'm ready.
Yes, that one. So everyone probably has noticed, which, I mean, it's funny now, even like coming on here and saying it, I don't think I've ever even like mentioned or like acknowledged it on social media in any way. You're not supposed to be able to hear it. I tell people, that's the point. You're not supposed to, it's an interlude. maybe I should have added that, but live and learn. But that one is, again, hometown, and that is about my 3 childhood best friends, and each of them and how they kind of raised me and were my family for me, and like my childhood best friend, and how her family became my family, and like took me in it a lot of times and was really really special. And so I wrote that as kind of and everyone was graduating high school and moving on. Then it was like, well, what happens if like you're gonna get a new best friend? And that like heartbreaking moment. And I kind of wrote this as the last line where it's like, I don't know how long forever will be. Like I can't say for sure, staying friends forever. We all hope. We all say that we will. And I'm not saying, also to them listening, I'm not saying that we're not going to be, but it's very much so. The idea that, I don't know how long forever will be, but I will love you for the rest of my existence here, because you've shaped me at such a young age, and you were the people, you were my family. So it was just kind of like a little love note that I got to write for them. And I really love that I got to do that. And then answer the question, at what point is love enough with them. I first like not even like came up with a question, but I more so like question came to me, I guess. But I first thought of that when I had like just turned 16. So I'd been sitting on that for a while, and they were there, a part of that process of me like journaling and then being like, I have this like weird question. And then it was just the years of writing and figuring out how I wanted to tell the story. And with them, they were a huge part of it. So this was to them, where it's like, at what point is love enough? And that one was, I don't know if it ever will be, but I think that it's enough to at least have been an honor to love you, like in this time and in this capacity in Loomis for as long as we could.
Yeah.
Till it was ripped away, but yes.
That does kind of answer my like chicken or the egg question. Was it the title of the album that came first, or did the songs kind of come together to form it? So
1000% the title. Yeah.
And then I do think there's something that's so much more like painstaking about writing songs about your friends than like romantic.
Yes.
So
yes,
that yes. I definitely felt the difference in that one.
That one was that one was just a voice memo too. Like you can hear it in the background. I was, the rest of the team was just working in another room. And they were just talking. And then I was like, I'm going to take this guitar. And I just went in another room, and you can hear them talking in the background. It's just a voice memo that I just recorded, and then was like, well, I guess just put that on there. And then it was even funny, because when I first played it for them, they're like, what is it? What are you saying? I don't know what you're saying. So I was like, okay, here's the lyrics. And then I read it to them, and it was a very special moment.
Yeah. And I think a lot more power lies in that than just putting it in like constructing it to be on the album.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was very unintentional. And I had that title that I wanted to write for them. So I'm glad I did that.
That makes that song even more powerful for me now that I know that. So
yeah.
All right. The one that I've been waiting for, the best titled one in my opinion, Avocado Toast Continued.
This one I think is so funny, because there was and there is an avocado toast.
I was thinking that. Okay.
So I first believe it was like May. Yeah, it was May of 2020 that I first, when I first started writing songs, and the fresh Snapchat situationship break off, and it was raw, and I wrote avocado toast, because that was an inside joke with that person at that time, was avocado toast. So then of course I had to make it the title, because I was raised by Taylor Swift, so I needed him to know that it was about him. Clearly, obviously, me saying
100%. Dear John it up.
I had to, yes. And so I wrote the song, and then I had never really like posted anything or done anything, and I posted it, and then in no means did it blow up, but I got enough attention to where I was like, well, this is actually kind of cool. I actually really like doing this. And it was kind of like the Kickstarter for it. And then I was like, well, I've been writing other songs, and I have like 4 more. That's an EP. So then I put out a little mini like voice memo recorded EP called Bear that was just completely stripped. Again, very similar vibes of 3 Little Girls. And it was just the point of just having it there. And that was really great. and it was just like a good stepping stone. But unfortunately, it was taken down.
Oh,
So that recording about avocado toast was lost. And I didn't want to go back and like put it again on At What Point Is Love Enough, which is funny because I always call it all pile. That's like the, the abbreviation. But so I don't want to put it on all pile. But as I just felt weird, so I was like, well, I already put it, and it just feels like, I don't know. I mean, I could have, but I wanted to write another perspective, like the other person talking back to the original. So the original song was just like a minute long, or a minute, like 30 seconds. It was super, super short. And it was just the first part of basically what I sing. And then that was the end of the song. And I wanted to add another perspective of basically like when you don't ever get that answer from someone and you're left in a position making your own of like, you don't, you try and have a conversation and you don't get those answers, you don't get that closure. So this is like, well, this is what I hope that you would say to me and what I wish that you would say to me.
yeah.
And I wrote that out, and then James ended up singing on it, and it was cool. And then I was like, well, I guess it's like continued because it's like the continuation of the story.
Yeah.
But a lot of people do say that they love the title of that. So I'm glad that it's stuck, but it's funny because I'm like, there was an original. There wasn't just a continued. So it's a little mysterious, but I kind of like it. I think it's fun.
I love it.
Yeah.
It leaves you wanting more, especially at the end of your album. That's exactly what you need.
Got that stuck at least because that was my goal. I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna put it on, it has to be at the end. It has to leave a little bit like, is this continue? Like, what's continuing? Is this the continued? Like, I wanted to kind of have it there, especially because I'm like, I mean, I am on like a lower platform too. So where I was like, well, stakes are low. I was like, this is just kind of fun to do. Just do it. So I guess I'll just do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's one song because I went through your whole discography too. Again, I deep researched. So one day, I want to talk about that one.
Yes.
Is there a reason it wasn't on the album?
Yeah. So that was the first song that I came out and recorded in Nashville in 2020. That was like in October, and I hadn't even started writing the album until I got back from that trip because I started writing about like the end of October for All Pile. But for one day, basically, I mean, it was inspired by Sasha Sloan's song "House with No Mirrors," and it's just very, very classic body positivity type song that I felt like I was like, I feel like there's a lot of songs that exist that are body positive, but don't shine the light on that. Sometimes it still is just going to suck. Like that they're very positive and it's amazing. And I love the anthems that are out, and I feel inspired by them. So in no means are they not inspirational, but I wanted to add another perspective. And I just been seeing a lot, and I just felt like inspired at that point. I didn't know if it was an actual thing that I was going to be able to like to do in any sense, but I posted on my Instagram story and was like, and just did like a poll and was like, would you be interested in being a part of a project? And a lot of people ended up responding, and they swiped up and were like, yeah, like what is it? And so I grouped together these people who had responded, and then I put the question out on my story and asked people to give me their like anonymous responses of like, if they could change one thing about their body, what would it be? And if for like one day they couldn't see their body, like what would they do? And so many people responded with really beautiful written out responses, and I just loved them. I felt so moved by them, and it wasn't even a point to be like, to make it super body conscious. Like that wasn't the point of it. It was just a point of a genuine question of like, what would you do if that wasn't a thing for you? And so then I ended up just taking those responses and I crafted them together to tell the story of kind of like what I would do and what these other people would do if they had a day that they weren't living in the day-to-day comparison and like insecure place that maybe they are in. And it was really cool because I got to have these like real responses from people that every single person's response is a lyric in the song. So everybody like had a point in there. The most beautiful one that was my favorite, and like I wish that I could even just like shout her out for it. It's anonymous, so I can't. She responded and said that she would run on the beach in her favorite swimsuit and not care about anything, and then she would just be alone or in front of people, and she would just go and run into the ocean. And I was like, that's the most poetic beautiful, amazing thing I've ever heard. And I think that's like, that's a starting point. So it was the inspiration for the song, and then I ended up crafting it together. And so it wasn't even, I hadn't even started thinking about doing another album. It was more that I wanted to go to Nashville. So I was like, well, then I need to write a song and have a project to go to Nashville with. So then that's what I did. And that was the one that got crafted together.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
It was, again, so very special. Like, it was really, really great to be able to take those responses from people, and then also have them have a moment where like they got to see themselves put into this piece of work.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like a whole nother level of, this isn't just for me.
Absolutely.
This is for everyone.
Absolutely. Yes.
This is probably the most interesting question that I ask musicians is,
okay.
What do you consider your creative process?
I love that question. My creative process is tried and true Taylor Swift, the daughter of Taylor Swift, basically. Not that I have never, I have songs that I've written that are about things that I've never experienced, but I haven't put out or posted or in any sense ever written on my own account something that I haven't experienced. Everything that I write is something that I experience firsthand. I write things that I experience, and I tell stories of my life and the lives of people who are close to me, and stories that I know firsthand. I think like my own creative process is even like, in the least cheesy way possible, like experiencing things. Like if and that was a part of even moving to Nashville, like just to put myself in a position to where like, well, I'm not going to be very inspired staying in Loomis forever. Like that's not going to be, I can only write so many songs about so many things. I'm not experiencing life. Like that was my own creative process, my own like philosophy, I guess, of it. Like I want to go drive across the country, and I want to take leaps, and I want to do things, and I don't want to go to school. And I want to like take a lot of risk and a lot of chances and have the most things to be able to experience and tell stories about. That's what I want to do. That not even what I want to do. That's what I do, where I experience life and I tell stories about it. So I guess that's my most creative process. And then for me, lyrics and writing comes first, because writing is my biggest passion. Writing and performing are my two favorites. And so getting to tell those stories, even like in lifetime, but I write them as they go. So I'm always that like crazy singer songwriter who's like in the middle of something, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like noting something down in my notes, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like, can you repeat that really quick? Like I need to like write that down. So I like to experience things in lifetime. My creative process is to be able to retell what's happening and what's around me, and just take notes of people's lives and in my own life, and things that I see that are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, because we live in a digital age, so
yes.
I know personally, like my notes app and my voice memos app are my two most used.
Yes.
But I do also write like my full list of songs in my songwriting journal.
Yes.
Like, you have the journal.
I'm so glad that you're even bringing this up, because I'm like, honestly, I even have it right here. I'll grab it.
Yeah, like mine's upstairs. Like go grab yours. I love to see these things.
Yeah, mine is absolutely like torn to.
That's the best way to do it.
But I do, yes, I write, which I'm so glad that you even brought that up, because that's one of my favorite things. I'm like, do I take my journal everywhere? No, but if I'm like going out, that I'll resort to my notes app. But the minute that I write something in my notes app, as soon as I get home, I'm like writing it down. I love everything to be written on paper, and that's when I feel the most creative. And I think that's what I've never like sat down and like notes app to song. Like I can just have it. That's now how my brain works. So this like torn up piece of book, I guess, is like this random little thing that I got. And the reason why I got it at a little like pop-up shop, and it was this little like journal page book thing, and I thought that it was really special and cool, because it said Harry on it. So I wanted to get it because it was hairstyle. so I picked it up.
My language now. Okay.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah. And I picked it up because I was like, oh, I want that. And then I ended up crafting and writing all of alcohol in it, which I really want to, and all my original ideas too of songs I didn't end up making it. There's a point where I wanted to like in a world where it was like there was merch or anything, do like screen copies of the writing because I think it's just so cool. But yes, this is like my most scattered out like process of writing. Like creative process, this is it. This is the creative.
Yeah.
And there's one that in here that I'm like just looks quite psychotic. Like, this is Learn to Dance Again. And then
The serial killer scrawl is integral to the songwriting process.
absolutely.
It is the key factor.
Yeah, the original poem that I wrote for Three Little Girls. When that was a cut song, I'm like,
You heard it here. Let's go.
yeah, they ran around.
Sunshine Hour exclusive. Let's go.
No, this is Dear Emerson Lowe when I first was taking notes of everybody's stuff. And then where is, let's see, you can literally, this one I think is quite cool. This was the day and in Quiet Lifetime that I wrote White Stars, and a ton of it is smeared because we were sitting outside and it started raining, and so then it started raining and I was like just so like singer songwriter, so typical. Yeah, which I have little like pictures drawn out that I'm like, this is what this is, and then me figuring out how much it's going to cost me to get to Nashville. I'm like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't do this. Yeah, and then the final like written out thing was on this page, and then it's just been torn apart. But basically, I had this paper, and then you see parts of this is torn, and then I found another copy that I had of the same book, and so on the album cover, it's ripped up pieces of this that spells out At What Point Is Love Enough, because that was the book that it was written in. So I thought it was really special to be able to include that. Like, these are the stories that have been like pieced together, that are very ripped, that are very messy, and something I even think is just really special about it now. It's like, yeah, and like what I was saying before, where like everybody's like, they're like, no, don't listen to old stuff. Like, I promise my new stuff, like that's more me. It feels more me. And you're like, what are you even saying? Like that's like it totally, like, it's all you. They're all different pieces. And there's a point where I wanted to, like, in a world where it was like there was merch or anything, do like screen copies of the writing because I think it's just so cool. But yes, this is like my most scattered out like process of writing. Like creative process, this is it. This is the creative. Yeah. And there's one that in here that I'm like just looks quite psychotic. Like, this is Learn to Dance Again. And then
the serial killer scrawl is integral to the songwriting process.
Absolutely.
It is the key factor.
Yeah, the original poem that I wrote for Three Little Girls. When that was a cut song, I'm like,
you heard it here. Let's go.
Yeah, they ran around.
Sunshine Hour exclusive. Let's go.
No, this is Dear Emerson Lowe when I first was taking notes of everybody's stuff. And then where is, let's see, you can literally, this one I think is quite cool. This was the day and in Quiet Lifetime that I wrote White Stars, and a ton of it is smeared because we were sitting outside and it started raining, and so then it started raining and I was like just so like singer songwriter, so typical. So yeah, which I have little like pictures drawn out that I'm like, this is what this is, and then me figuring out how much it's going to cost me to get to Nashville. I'm like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't do this. And then the final like written out thing was on this page, and then it's just been torn apart. But basically, I had this paper, and then you see parts of this is torn, and then I found another copy that I had of the same book, and so on the album cover, it's ripped up pieces of this that spells out At What Point Is Love Enough, because that was the book that it was written in. So I thought it was really special to be able to include that. Like, these are the stories that have been like pieced together, that are very ripped, that are very messy, and something I even think is just really special about it now. It's like, yeah, and like what I was saying before, they're like, no, don't listen to old stuff. Like, I promise my new stuff, like that's more me. It feels more me. And you're like, what are you even saying? Like that's like totally, like, it's all you. They're all different pieces, and they all add up to who you are now as an artist. And so being able to look back on this album is so cool for me because it's so messy. In an apartment, recorded, like random little project decided that just like kickstarted something in me. So it's like, no matter how how I feel about it, it's so special because I get to look back on those stories, and it was kind of stories in the end of a childhood as well that was being told as like graduating high school and moving and getting to do all that. So like now music that's in telling different parts of my life, and I'm not here telling stories about being home because I already told it. So it's really great. Yeah. So yes, to answer your question very long, I do love to write everything down on paper. I think it's just better that way. But yeah.
100%. I'm obsessed with the idea of like, you don't pick the journal picks you.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I have the Moleskine music journal. I have it. I never use it.
No.
What I do use is like the $4 one that I got at Target that has every single lyric I've ever thought of crammed into it.
Oh, absolutely. I had one that was like super cute and aesthetic, and it was like this cute little green journal. And then, or was I had this cute like the Moleskine one to where, and at the old coffee shop I worked at, everyone used to like joke and make fun of me because I come in with my journal, I'd like write on my breaks and everything. But it was like it looked like a witch book. People were like, "You're like cast a spell on us." Like, what is that? And I was like, "No, this is my songwriting journal." But it wasn't, because I was writing songs. Also, they're all like they're on napkins too. Like they're not. You never know when it's gonna hit, and you just
never do. No,
you're never prepared. And if I can avoid putting it in my phone, I will write it down on a napkin way before I try and put it in my phone. And maybe it is my ego, but I don't care. I'm like, if it is, then it is.
Your creative process.
I feel cool. Let me feel cool. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write this down mysteriously right now on this napkin in this dark room, like while everyone's trying to party. I'm like, I'm gonna write it down.
I'm gonna sit in the corner and write it how visible I am.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. No, I have the new song that I'm working on. I have the hook line written at the top of one of my class notes.
Yes.
I think that's my favorite thing. Like I have one of the lines of the song I wrote like 2 months ago is written on the back of one of my choir sheet music pieces.
Yeah.
And he asked for it back, and I went, I can't give you. I can't. It's mine now.
Like, I'll pay for it. I don't know. I
gave him the $5, and he went, okay.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, you're not gonna get this one back. This is mine.
No, and I think like, because I have all of the Taylor Swift lover journals. I have the Olivia Rodrigo composition, because I think the idea of like the songwriter's journal, it's just like the greatest part of being a songwriter.
Yeah, I think it makes it so more connective, and it means so much more, and it holds so much value in being able to connect with a songwriter in the way that they've created something, and the way that they're sharing it with the world, and especially in songs that are like that are really meaningful, like even if they aren't deep, which I feel like those two go together, but sometimes they don't. And I think that songs that like hold a lot of weight and a lot of meaning, like the same way that, I mean, if you're going to sit down and read Taylor Swift's like original songwriting for Dear John or All Too Well is going to be a completely different experience than sitting down and like in reading the notes for like I Knew You Were Trouble. Like it's going to be a completely different experience in the weight of what it holds. So I think that's like, especially when an artist like Olivia, who predominantly is doing that sort of work, to look at all of her work together is so cool. Because it is entirely that, and that is who she is as an artist, and it's not just moments for her either. Like that is what she's doing. Like that's what she's creating for sure. Yeah.
I know. That made me really happy. That's like my favorite question to ask people. It's just because like that is gonna be the thing that I reach for if my house is on fire. It's going to be the journal.
That's what I've always said. Yeah. If the house is burning down, I am grabbing, and assuming that pets and people are out. I'm like, no, sorry.
I'm like, you all have legs. Like, come on,
do some work.
Like, you have legs. No, I have to grab my like 8 journals and just like run out of them.
Yeah, I know. I have a giant basket of just like, and I the most like words of affirmation is my love language too. So
Same here.
Yeah. So I've kept every single letter that anyone's ever written me, or little note that like someone's left on the calendar for me. And So I have like my giant bucket. Like that's a first. I'm grabbing it and probably my guitars because those are expensive. So
Birthday has to come. So we are gonna get into like the big thing. This is how I discovered you.
Okay.
Birthday card.
Yes.
I have my copy here. It is I think it's one of the 6 CDs I've bought in the last 10 years.
Sure. Totally.
But I have it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like I love that it was turned into a CD. I think that just makes it honest. It's just cool. Like it really is just really cool.
Like you are on a CD. Like your music is on a CD.
I'm on a CD. That's really random and weird, but I love it so much.
I'm gonna pull out my little booklet because I have been obsessed with the birthday project since I discovered it in June. I did all of like the clues, like spelled it out. I followed all of you all. I was like, the second that I found a piece of information out, I was like hoarding it. This project.
I love it. Which I'm like, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions, but my question for you, if you like following along, because I always wondered with other people.
Yeah, bring it on.
I know me and some other artists on it were like, I was also dropping hints in it. So I didn't know if anyone was catching on anything that I was doing because I did my own like photo shoot and stuff for it and like, my own promotion pieces. And I was leaving little Easter eggs and stuff because I was like, this is my Taylor Swift moment that I've been waiting for. This is it. Like I was so excited about it. So I was dropping little things, but I didn't know if anyone was getting them or not. I didn't know if they were good. Like
I was just like, I was so focused on like waiting for emails and like watching every TikTok video. I was just like, here.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. I think that's it's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you now, your 2 songs are my favorite. Like,
thank you.
And that was why I was like, because I'm like, this is like my second interview, the first one that I'm doing like directly for the podcast. Because I don't know if you know this, but this is actually a series that started on my radio show.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a radio host and the music director for my college radio station. I was talking to my station manager. He's like, you should like, post this like on a podcast or something. That's what everyone does now. And I was like, why stop at that? Like, why not? Yeah. So when I was going through of like, okay, who can I reasonably reach out to do this? I was thinking about like, because the birthday card project came into my head and I was like, ooh, okay, here we go.
Totally. Yeah. I think that came at like a perfect moment in my life. And I think it was August and of last year, and I was feeling dead in music. I wasn't writing much, going through my own personal heartbreak, and was just like not feeling inspired by anything. And I was in a slump, and I came across the video that everybody saw, the original birthday card video. After it had already blown up. Also, like I didn't get there early. Like I got there late, and I saw it, and I saw that that Laura was posting or was going to be writing the poems for the project. I saw that and I was like, well, I write songs from poetry. Like that's what I do. I write poetry first, and then I convert those into songs. And I write melody and compose music later. So I saw that and was like, this could be cool. And my biggest thing that I've always said, my like biggest point of advice, or even just general, like as a musician and networking and all that goes into it. And like, since being in Nashville, is like, never be afraid to send a good DM. Like I always say that, cause I'm like, they're going to ignore you. Okay. Like you lost nothing. You lost quite literally nothing. And then like, they're not going to go tell anyone. And if they do, then it's like, why'd you ignore that person? So either way, whatever happens. Like I just always just send it. That's my biggest thing. That's how I made every single connection with producer and my first collaborative project and just like all my connections here with people is just send the message. Just do it. Yeah. So with her, I was like, this is a shot in the dark for sure. And I DM'd her and was like, hey, I was like, what's up? Don't mind me. I was like, I'm Kate. I write songs and I see that you write poetry. And so I was like, I have an idea. And I told her, and I was like, let me compose or turn one of the poems into a song. And she responded and was like, that's a really cool idea. We should do that. And then I didn't hear back for months after that. I like, there was an initial like, that's great. And then afterwards I was like, well, I guess that's not happening. I like, and then I hadn't seen any more videos on it. I wasn't like keeping up with it in any sense, until, and then people were like sending me the video too, or like, just like as a general being like, look at this cool video. And I was like, I know, I want to be a part of it. Like this is, I'm like, I'm trying, people.
Do my best.
And I was like, well, I don't know if this will happen also. And then then it was a couple months later and she reached back out and was like, hey, so it's on. She was like, I have other artists who also like came up with a similar same idea and want to do this. So if you're in, like, you can have like two or three songs. And I was like, I'll take as many as you'll give me. And so then I took, and it ended up being two, where I took the poem If I Tried and Great Responsibility. And then I think it was roughly like 4 weeks to 3-4 weeks to write the two songs, have them finished, like have them ready to go. And I was like, oh God.
Deadlines.
I was like, awesome. This is great for my creative process. It makes me like feel so great. So I like was like, got it. Sounds good. And I immediately started writing. And then I knew that I wanted to keep one of them the same and that I wanted to change one of them. And then I went back and forth and kind of like battled with it. And then and then I was like officially like on the project for doing it. And so once she had like assembled the team and I knew that this was like a serious thing, I was like, okay, well, I need to figure this out. And so I sat down and then like, I was just reading If I Tried, and immediately like the melody came into my mind. I was like, well, this seems like easiest to just be like, well, we'll make that one the same words. And I thought that all of her words are beyond beautiful. And
100%.
so that one was the one that I was like, I can't change this. Like this has to be the same. And I ended up cutting it down. So it's not the entire thing. And there's some, like, there was one poetic line that I loved so much. And I thought that it was so beautiful. But I was like, I can't put this in the song. I was like, there's no, like, this can't. Cause I was like, I can't take myself seriously singing this. And it was a line, she was like, the tide tickles her toes or something like that. And I think it's so beautiful. Like because I read the entire thing and I was like weeping at the end of each one too. I was like, she's incredible. And then I was going through and looking at what lines I wanted to cut out. And I like half felt bad because I was like, I don't want to cut out any of her words. And that was the one where I was like, okay, if I'm going to cut it down, I guess we'll do that. So, but there was also another line of that I wanted to keep, and it was a hard decision. So I decided to keep If I Tried as it was, and then wrote the melody over, and then immediately went and started working with David on getting that recorded. And then for Great Responsibility, that was one that took me way too long to write. Like I didn't have the words. I almost didn't want to write it. I felt like I was kind of like running from something almost. Like because I was going through at that point in December, I was going through my own personal heartbreak and was at a closure spot. And so I was like, I don't want to write while I'm in it. Like that doesn't like feel right. And then, so I ended up a conversation that I had been wanting to have and over just like a couple of weeks and talking with different friends and everybody, I wrote down just different things that I was saying or what other people were saying. And I was just taking notes of it. And so everything that I wrote for Great Responsibility was written in lifetime. As I was like experiencing this and like asking for advice with people. And then a key moment where I was like, it kind of all came together was I was like sitting with my sister. And I was just really heartbroken about what was happening. And I like said to her, I was like, it just really hurts my heart because I know that I would have tried harder for them. And then she was like, you should write that down. That's probably a good line. I was like, yeah, okay, you're probably right. And I was like, yeah, okay, thanks. And so I wrote that down, and then the rest of it kind of came to me. But that one, I wasn't originally going to be on piano at all. And then David started like putting down the piano, and it kind of just flowed naturally. So that one was really cool because I got to like tell the story of what was happening as it was happening, and then put all of the things. And then that one was also like the original poem that Laura wrote was based off of Spider-Man also. So I've seen Spider-Man, but I hadn't in honestly so long. Like I was like, I don't know if I'm the most qualified to like write the story of Spider-Man. Like, I don't know if I'm like remembering things right or not. And then the new Spider-Man movie had like literally just come out like a couple days before, and my roommate had gone home for like Thanksgiving or for Christmas. And so then I was like, well, I'm alone. I'm not doing anything. So then I went and I watched the movie by myself and was like taking notes in the theater. I was like writing stuff down. And I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, okay, well, now that I know it. And then I had a conversation with her and talked with her. And then she kind of told me like what her perspective was of writing, and then how like the whole thing based off a birthday card had been based off of her relationship and seeing herself as Spider-Man and MJ. And then I found myself in the exact same situation of feeling like being in a position to where one person is wanting to forget and one person's wanting to remember. Yeah, so I just kind of crafted that one together, and that one was also very special for me to be able to put out. And it was one where it was like, as I was writing, I was like, I really like this. Maybe I want to keep like this for myself. And then it didn't fit anywhere on anything that I was doing. And it felt really, really cool to be able, like, I never had that opportunity before to be able to put my story and my work but into another project, because it felt more right for that. And I got to release it, and it was very therapeutic, and it was really great for me to be able to go through that writing process of knowing that it wasn't going to be mine in any sense. It wasn't going to be my discography. It was those like streams and numbers and whatever comes of it, like it had nothing to do with me. It's completely out of my control, but I get to just create something and like share it with the world. I was like, I absolutely have to put the song on there, and this has to be one. Yeah.
Because they both are incredible. I know If I Tried, it's definitely the song that I like ballad scream in my car.
Yes.
But,
yeah, me too.
Absolutely. But like Great Responsibility just has this like guttural like punch to your stomach. And then now I'm like on TikTok and watching it become like Spider-Man edits, and I'm like, I know. I do this right now.
I was like, me becoming a Spider-Man edit. All my friends are like, what are you?
You wrote a Spider-Man fanfic.
I wrote a Spider-Man fanfic, and I'm quite excited about it. And even the line of waiting for pick flowers at my door, I didn't know was a Spider-Man thing. Like I wrote that based off of my own personal experience with this person, and like that was me being like in my own moment, like referencing something else. And so then I saw Spider-Man edits, and I was like, he shows up at a door.
She goes, I'm MJ. I am MJ.
I am MJ. I was like, I didn't know that was even a thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. I was like, yeah, I meant to do that for sure. That was so intentional. Like I definitely really meant that. I was honestly kind of shocked by that. And I started seeing videos and stuff of people making it. And I was like, this is the coolest thing.
Yeah. And I think that whole project is amazing, but like you were featured in the New York Times, like you're on a CD, like
I know.
Exposure than like a lot of people, like especially like me at this level of my life being like, oh, and I can't imagine like you go to Nashville so you can make it, and like you become a part of this project that has like hundreds of magazine articles being written about it and people like flooding DMs, and I can't imagine.
Like it was so much all at once, and I didn't even like imagine that it was going to be like become anything of what it did. But at the same time, like those people who are like on TikTok and they're like, I didn't expect this to blow up. Wow. And you're like, yes, you did. Everybody, like you're like everybody expects it. Everybody that's the point of posting it. So I had really high expectations, and then it was really like I had an idea of what something could have happened, and then when that was met in my like dream world in my mind, it was like a really surreal moment almost to like. And then when it came when I got the news that it was going to be in the New York Times, I literally was like, what do you mean? I was in the middle of like a tornado watch too with my roommate, and she's like, smile. As I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing right now. Like, this is a lot. But it was the most like surreal moment for me to experience that. Given that I also like just got here and then have been doing this, and it's like it was just a lot all at once. But crazy, like really, really weird and crazy that turned into that. So that's why I'm like, never be afraid to send a good DM, people. Look at like, come on.
Look what it did for me.
Come on. I'm like, people gotta get on it. Just ask people to be part of their projects, and then they don't respond or they say yeah, and it turns into a cool opportunity. And there. Yeah.
Yeah. And so going back into that, I had a question. Now that we talked about like your whole album and everything, it does make this question a lot more straightforward. But I was wondering, because I'm like, is it difficult writing from source material that's like not yours versus like your own experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and that's like an incredible question too, because I mean, I even voice now where it's like I do write entirely based off of just my experiences. So it was such a challenge for me. But it was something that I really wanted to take on and to do and to learn in the process of doing it. I got weirdly lucky in a point with Great Responsibility specifically to where I got to experience that one. Which is a weird perspective to say for that song, but I'm like, being positive. I got to experience that. I'm like, yay.
The notes that you needed to make it. So
exactly. So yeah, that one, like I got really lucky with being able to do that. But with If I Tried was such a different experience for me in not writing the words. And just writing melody in music along with David was like very specific and cool for me to do. Also because I was in the middle of traveling a lot too, because it was right during like Christmas break, and I was going back to California, so I wasn't in Nashville to be recording anymore. And then I got super sick and ended up getting what's it called? It was me forgetting. It wasn't strep. Laryngitis, yes. I ended up getting laryngitis terribly. Damn. Thankfully didn't get COVID. Honestly, like don't know how, and I'm so lucky and glad that I didn't. Yeah. But I got laryngitis, and so I was like couldn't sing. My voice was gone. And so then I came back and I was like I needed to get it done. So that one I was so nervous about. So I was like my only job on this was really to sing it. And I was like, I can't right now. This is the worst. But it ended up being completely okay. And David did an incredible job in mixing it and being able to piece it together for this deadline. But yeah, that one was so different in doing that. And I think the biggest difference was just like in the not experience it of just like really it's almost like becoming a character, like in like an acting sense, to where I'm like, this is Laura's character, and I am like becoming her in this moment when she's writing this, and I'm just channeling the emotion of what she is, and relating it to my own life in the best that I can, and sourcing that. But it was really cool to be able to do also, and was so different, and something that I do want to continue to do in some capacity. But not my biggest passion project, because I do love writing words and poetry. But yeah, it was very different for sure.
Yeah. You had your folklore era, and
absolutely.
Yeah.
I had my folklore era, absolutely.
Yeah. And I do think it's interesting how like a project that has gotten this much exposure, this much attention, how has your career shifted since Birthday Card?
Yeah. I mean, even just from like getting the slightest bit of exposure. I mean, I haven't been doing this for very long at all. I mean, I just started, just moved to Nashville on a whim. I'm doing it completely from scratch. Also, like every connection that I have built has just been from me DMing people or meeting people out and asking every single person that I know to get coffee, or every musician that I meet, I ask to get coffee. And then it's the amount of people that I've like met with. It's been really, really cool and a great opportunity to be able to do. But it shifted my ability in I think being adaptive in different situations, and like, I mean, my numbers haven't changed very much. that was also a really cool thing to experience in a way, because it was like I got to be part of this really, really big project, and then it had nothing to do with me, and I didn't like, and like even like the benefits of gaining a following or listeners is like didn't necessarily come from it, but for this project it did, because a lot of people ended up luckily loving what I contributed, and building like a slow and steady fan base, for lack of a better word, but like just people who resonate with the work that I put out. And like it reminds me of like I think there's an interview of like Phineas where he's talking about like him and Billy, and how it was cool to be able to like slowly establish people who you knew on like on a closer level who were becoming fans of your work, was like really special to be able to do. And I feel like I've been able to experience that on a very, very small note, but in even some capacity where it's like, I mean, you never know when it's going to change. It's the idea where people are like, enjoy your 20s when you're single, because, you know, as soon as you're in a relationship and as soon as you're getting married or whatever you're doing and you have your lifelong partner, then it's like those days are over and you only have so much time being single left. And I feel like it's kind of like that. And like, I'm getting to learn so much and enjoy so much from people, and really just observe and take in everything that's happening, and meet people on a very personal level. So like the people who are like my fans, like I know every single one of them individually, and I get to like have real conversations with them, and I get to like know what's going on in their lives, and I'm just as invested, and love to watch them grow, and love to like watch them love what I'm doing. And it's like it's motivating, and it's a really cool experience. So I mean, even like from what I've noticed, like with birthday cards specifically, is like numbers didn't change. Like there wasn't any big blow up of fame in any sense, but I got really, really cool, like intimate, individual fan based relationships that I get to now like have these like lifelong people who were like looking forward to like watching me grow, which is like so special and weird and random, and still is really strange when people like reach out and then they message me. And if there was like one girl, because I mean it reached like all corners of the world. Like I mean there were so many people who were on that album in the spoken word tracks that were from all over the world. So I had so many people like message me who are from different countries. And there's one girl who was like, I can't wait for when you come to France. And I was like, that's the most, like, that's so random and strange. And thank you. Like, I literally made me cry. I was like, that's the sweetest thing. And the idea of what I think of too, what it would take for me to like reach out to someone and say that I really love their work. And then I can't wait to watch them grow. Like that would take a lot for me to do, honestly. Like maybe I should be doing it more. That seems like a very sweet thing to be doing, but I can't ever imagine being in a position to where I'm like, I don't know this person. I just found their work randomly and I want to tell them that I love it and I can't wait to watch them grow. Like that's crazy. That's so cool. So I got to like to gain that from birthday card, and that was a really surreal and special moment to experience in a way.
No, and I mean even like collaborating with other artists like that, it's like such a unique experience.
Absolutely. And like nothing that I had ever done. And before that point, I'd only ever collaborated with one person before also. So I'd never like done that. So I was just like, fake it till you make it. I was like, yeah, I can do that. Sounds good. I'm there. Count me in. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. But as far as everyone else knows, I do. So we're just gonna stick with the script. We're just gonna keep going.
Fake it till you make it should just be like tattooed on everyone's forehead.
That has been the biggest thing of what's gotten me. DM people, ask people to get coffee with you, and fake it till you make it. And you eventually will. You'll get there. You'll end up somewhere. It's not going to lead you nowhere. You're going to end up there. Yeah.
It's the best thing you can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we're going to do my favorite segment.
Okay.
It's speed date with your new favorite artist.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm going to throw a bunch of questions at you and you just give me your best answer, and we're going to get to know you in the best way you know how.
Okay.
Go-to karaoke song.
Better Man.
Yes.
Every time.
Yes. So, what artist would you consider your biggest influence?
Taylor Swift, obviously, but Chelsea Cutler is
Yeah.
very inspirational as a female producer and songwriter and performer and incredible. And I hope to work with her one day. So manifesting that out loud right now.
Put it in the universe.
Put it out there.
Put it in the universe. All right. Would you consider yourself a songwriter or a performer?
Songwriter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is there a song that you wish you wrote?
Oh, so many. There's so many ones like they come up on TikTok and I'm like,
I have a playlist at this point.
like they did it first, damn it. Like,
So I was like, that concept is so good. Why didn't I think
yes, I'm like, really good for you. Like you did it. Off the top of my head, I'm like one that I really love the song Vanilla by Holly Humberstone. So creative, and I wish that I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What milestones are you currently working towards?
Ooh, I love that. I am hoping to go on tour and to go on tour with another artist and open for a tour. That's my dream. That's what I'm working on.
Yeah, I think everyone should just pull the Olivia Rodrigo, get like super famous off your first album, and then have your favorite singer open for you.
Yes. I'll be someone's favorite singer. I'll do it. Come on. Like,
yeah, pull like an Uno reverse card, be like, yes, Gracie Abrams, you're my favorite singer on this planet. Open for me on tour.
Yeah, exactly.
What?
So random. Yeah,
So
totally.
crazy.
100%.
Yes. And my last one, what do you wish you knew before you started this process?
Oh, I feel like things that I feel like one that everyone knows but never really takes seriously. Like things are so completely out of your control, and that you don't decide when things happen. And the only I wish that I knew first getting started was being prepared is more important than making opportunities for yourself. If you're ready for when opportunities do present themselves, like birthday card, and you're ready to go, then you can get a lot more out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen like you've been doing all these shows in Nashville. Like that's super exciting. Like what's next for you? What's next for Kaitlin Cantrell?
I played my first show in Nashville like a couple of weeks ago, and that was a really surreal moment too, because it was also like I had all of my like few friends that I've made that have like become really amazing people for me, who came and watched me do it and sing songs that I've been working on and that I'm most proud of than I've ever been for songs before. And so I got to like share those. And what's next? I really hope to be able to, because I'm currently working on my next EP, and I have it done and ready, but I'm working on recording and producing and figuring out how I want to go about it creatively. I think the next thing for me is working on detailed artistic projects and really diving into, and I think Emma Chamberlain just put out a podcast about it, but my roommate and I were literally talking about it like a couple of weeks ago, and it was kind of like a moment of like, oh, I wish that I wrote that song. Where I was like with her, I was like, I said that. I was like, we were just saying that, where it's like I feel a huge move in social media happening right now, and I think that people are getting bored, and that the only thing that is going to keep people going on social media is creativity, and people are going to start wanting more long form or like long forms of content, and people are wanting to watch documentaries and short films, and they're wanting to take in more, because attention spans have gotten so small to where it's like people are going to swing the other way now. So for me, it's working on creating a really detailed project to share and put out, that's not conventional, that's not going through TikTok. Because everyone said, it's not that I'm never new TikTok, and if it does happen on there, then that would be incredible. But also being okay with the idea where like I've seen a lot of people in more recent times, like their only plan is to make it on TikTok. And I'm like, there's so many forms of media right now. Like you have traditional ways also still work. it's never not going to work either. So that's not your only bet. Like if your videos are not going to do well, then switch to something else. And that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm like, well, I'm like, TikTok is where TikTok is for me right now. And like, remade my account, and then, but I'm not committed enough to be doing it. It doesn't feel creative for me. And so it's like, well, I'm going to commit myself to creating something that's very meaningful and very deep for me. And because words matter so much to me in songwriting, and I don't have a single line that I've written that doesn't hold some weight where I'm like, when he hears it, he's gonna he's gonna know. Like I don't have a single line. So I'm like, I want to explain it. I want people to know. I want to express it artistically. And I think that's where I'm at. Hopefully that's my next thing. And then also performing and being able to perform with some bigger artists and open would be such a dream with my next EP for sure.
Yeah. I love that. No, I can't agree more. I see people are like, oh, attention spans are getting so short because of TikTok. I'm like, they keep making videos longer and longer. That's got to tell you something.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think YouTube's going to come back on the swing, and podcasts specifically, which I love that you're doing this also. Cause it's like my roommate and I are like, we're going to start our own podcast too. And so we're like, we're so excited about it. Cause we're wanting, cause I was like, we met so many people here, like, or at least I've met so many musicians from my many coffee dates that I've gone on with people of just asking about what they're doing. And I was like, people are always looking for an opportunity to be on something too. So we're going to do that. But podcasts are long forms of media now.
I think it's my favorite way to get your foot in the door.
Yes.
It's how that I've started networking myself with other artists, of people who are trying to be like, okay, you're farther than me. Let's talk about how you got there.
Yep. That you did Gatlin before. I love her work. Like that's so incredible. So even seeing other people who are on here, I was like, wait, that's so cool. I want to be on it. Absolutely. I'll do it.
She's my favorite singer ever. Like on
her work is honestly also a huge like reference point for me. Honestly, like she's done an incredible job in her songwriting.
And she's also just like the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
I met her in Tampa because like her hometown is 2 hours away from mine.
Okay.
So
yeah.
She did a tour in Tampa and I met her and she knew who I was the second I walked up to her because we have been chatting on Instagram, and I literally cried. I cried. Like, nope, can't do this. No.
Sweetest. No, I love that. That's incredible. And then that she's doing the podcast too. It's like that's so great. I love when artists are kind and match what they're doing, which I feel like the majority of people are. But
it's the simplest thing of literally everyone is in the same position you were in at some point.
Yep. Absolutely.
Like, fingers crossed, she is now where I'll be in like 2 or 3 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you are where I will hopefully be in like a year. Like it's just trying to figure out, like everyone had a starting point.
Yep.
Theirs was just before yours.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. I couldn't agree more. Where, I mean, everybody's at a point where either someone is where you want to be, or they are where you have been also. And so either you have an opportunity to help someone, or you have an opportunity to connect with someone. And also like not letting that up either. Like when I've met with people, like we always make the jokes too, where it's like especially in Nashville, like you can run into people and then not know that they're famous and like connect with them. And then like it comes up later and you're like, okay, and then I'm like, so we keep joking, being like, I'm sick and tired of meeting like famous musicians that I don't know who are like have a following, and then telling them that like I'm also a songwriter, and they're like, yeah. It's such a funny moment that I'm like, oh my God, I feel so stupid. But it's like with that too, it's like, don't let that up though. Like walk with the same confidence. Like, hey, I'm a musician also. Like we should collaborate, or I want to talk to you about what you're doing in Nashville, like or wherever you are. Also, it's like versus going up and being like, don't put yourself down. It's like, no matter where you're at too, it's like, that's who's to say also. So it's like you walk with your head forward and you keep doing it, and then you connect with people. And if people don't want to connect too, then it's also like, that's on their own path also. Yeah.
I'm probably gonna like take this out, but I just have to tell you the story because I think it's really funny.
Yeah.
Nashville's like the scariest place for running into famous country people when you don't listen to a lot of country music.
No, girl,
Like, especially like men in their trucks music. I don't listen to that. And I was sat at Blake Shelton's restaurant with my mom.
Yeah.
And the table next to us, he was some like famous country singer. And I didn't realize it till I posted a picture of it on my Instagram. And my friend goes, "That's so-and-so." And I was like,
you're like, mm-mm.
I'm at the Blake Shelton restaurant. I don't need this right now.
Like, how am I doing? No, I literally the exact same thing. I like, because what I do for working right now, I'm a nanny, and I like nanny for a country artist, and I was like, had no idea before. Being so much right now. I'm like, you're so loud.
You want to talk about it?
I'm like, can you do anything else right now? Come here. Okay. But no, yeah, I like ran into him and ended up being like nannying for him. And I was like, oh yeah, I do music. And I was like, oh, well, you're definitely like a guy in country, but I would have never known until it like was presented. And I was like, oh, why are you verified? Oh no. I was like, oh no, what did I walk into? And same thing with like another family that I nanny for. Like mom is a songwriter for like a ton of famous people. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm a songwriter. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But then she ends up being like a ton of big names. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Yeah.
All right. That's all the questions that I have for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for answering all of my crazy questions.
No, this is so much fun. And I'm so glad that you asked me to do this too, because this is such an opportunity. And this is so cool that you're asking people. And I'm glad that I get to be part of like the beginning of your own thing too. Like that's like, I'm so excited for you to see where this goes, and like your own radio show that you're doing. And then now your own podcast is like, that's so cool. And I'm so excited to be a part of the beginning of it. That's such an honor for me. So I'm like rooting you on. I'm so excited to see where this takes you. And I think that, I can't wait till you're interviewing all the big guys. And then I'll be like, there we go.
I don't know what you're talking about. This is like the file that they're going to pull up when you're like a Grammy artist and be like, see how like when you have your own Miss Americana documentary, you're going to be reaching out to me for these files. So just know
you're like, you're going to be back. Just wait.
Karma. Good karma.
Yes.
So make sure you stream Kaitlin Cantrell on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere that you listen to music. Listen to the Birthday Card album, everything. And of course, subscribe to the Sunshine Hour. We up every Saturday, so pay attention and stay sunny, folks.